Stay the fuck out of black people business. Stay the fuck out of black people business. Stay the fuck out of black people business. Black people business. Black people business. Stay the fuck out of black people business. Stay the fuck out of black people.
Cherokee Indian will return.
It's time to play the music. It's time to light the light.
It's time to put on makeup. It's time to dress up right. It's time to get things started.
Hey man, is that Double D? Yeah man, well turn it up man.
Let's just go in and like kill all the orcs, right? They're the bad guys, who gives a shit? We just hack and slash and we loot their dead bodies, right? Hack and slash, kill them all, conquer the infidels.
Boy, that campaign sounds like a barrel of fun, doesn't it?
Somebody who's opening a refrigerator and leaning in, right, is the language of a woman. Somebody who's opening the refrigerator and being cut off halfway through that lean is the voice of like a mermaid or a siren.
They're utter shits. They're utter shits.
This is not the face of the hobby anymore. And I think there's been mistakes made in years past where people assumed that D&D players were all, white dudes in a basement. Which has been a faulty assumption for a lot of years and gets more and more false every day. And so it's, in my viewpoint, honestly, guys like me can't leave soon enough.
I just had to be born with empathy and a weakness for socialism and femboys.
You gotta put a little hot sauce on the taco, you know what I mean?
We want this dwarf to be the dwarfiest dwarf.
Right.
We want the elf to be the elfiest elf.
And just the dashiest dash of Tabasco.
Their voices need to carry across water.
I'm a creative. It's a huge drain, right? Because fans can be off.
When we got the descriptions, they were very adamant. They were like, try not to make it like a white blonde guy. Like, please. Like, we love him, but there's like 500 million of them.
You say white lives matter, they don't. White lives don't matter because white lives aren't a thing.
Lube for their rectal adventures.
Lutherville, Marina Del X, Otisburg. Otisburg? Who's this monster? She's got her own place. Otisburg? It's a little bitty place. Otisburg? Okay, I just wipe it off. That's all. It's a little town.
Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
In 5, 4, 3.
Great, Sam. We dumping chump. It's a landslide, sir.
On guard.
It's time to mobilize. Let's go.
A giant penis.
Did you cry? That so much. I went into the house and my wife was like, "What's wrong?" And I just crawled onto her and sobbed.
Oh my God.
Well, I like the old opening better.
On with the show.
Idly ho. Neighborinos. Good to see you guys. Thanks for coming out on a Saturday. Already over 50 of you between YouTube and Rumble. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. We are slowly emerging from the grips of Father Winter. It has been unrelenting cold since about the beginning of the year. I think there was maybe one day in January where the temperature spiked up over 40. And aside from that, it has been sub 20 degrees like most of the time. Excuse me. Get my light sorted here. There we go. A couple reasons I was doing this stream. First, I got myself a media cart. You have to understand, this room that we're in here, this room has three purposes. It is studio, as you can see. It is game room, Friday night D&D and other RPGs, the occasional big board game.
And it is also an exercise place for Mrs. D. So I was getting really, really tired of tearing things down and putting it back up, tearing it down, putting it back up. So I got one of those metal carts that you see in doctor's offices and attached all of like my monitors, my microphones, just made it work and just attached everything. That seems to be working. So I kind of wanted to do a test stream just to make sure, okay, everything's good. Seems like it is. But then I was also, I was watching YouTube, and in my feed, of course, is RPG Pundit. And he was right at the top there. And he has some breaking news, I guess, in the last, I think, day or so that I think he has some information on 6E, and it involves Tracy Hickman and Ed Greenwood. So we'll kind of EFAP that. I'm sure you guys already are subscribed to Pundit. If not, go ahead, give him a subscribe. In fact, I think I see him in the chat there. How you doing, RPG Pundit? Cal, if you are out there, if you could just drop a link to his video there. You can watch it here, but make sure you give him a view for it too, if you guys can. Let's take care of each other, as always. So give us something to do on a Saturday, right? Have a couple of other things. We could finish up the lunacy montage. We busted out early on Wednesday due to the movie, which I think was probably our most successful movie so far. The Warrior and the Sorceress. That was a lot of fun. A great movie especially for purposes of that. It was like hour and 20 minutes, right down the center of the fairway as far as fantasy. A lot of there was at least one beautiful woman. So I'm really, really was happy with that. I'm really happy with the way that's going. Remember, Rumble makes that possible, guys. So if you're just YouTube only, I do understand YouTube is, the big player. But make sure you follow me over on Rumble. YouTube has so far been okay to me. They haven't really messed with me, and then again, I'm a very, very small channel. But the day could come where I wake up and they're going to be like, hey, you violated our terms of service over and over again. Okay. Yeah, guess what we do then? We just move everything over to Rumble, and maybe we'll build out Kick a little bit more too. So make sure you give a follow over on Rumble, just so you don't kind of lose track of your boy here and our Wednesday night fun and occasional Saturdays as well. Let's see what we got here. Oh my Lord. We got Moloch 92 for $10. Hey, people. And funny enough, Double D, my company makes a lot of those carts. Indeed. Well, all I can say, sir, is that
you're what is best in men.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't remember the brand. It came from California. I don't know, Chino, California. So I don't know. Maybe it was one of yours. I liked it. Good construction. It was very good construction. The only thing is I had to counterweight the monitors. The monitors are on one end. They are literally right here. So, the cart probably, it's not even so much the cart wants to lean, but the bracket holding on the monitors is really, really iffy. So I just counterweighted it. Hung some weights on the other side. It's perfect now. So, so far so good. So far so good. Yeah. So like I said, if you can, watch us over on, Rumble too, if, like I said, you can do super chats if you're so inclined over on Rumble. I know they have a Bitcoin thing over there. Haven't fully gotten that built out yet. But really what's most important is just your support over there, just watching. So let's, you're going to have to forgive me a little bit here. I didn't mark my my videos. I know I wanted to start us off with one. No, not you. Oh, okay, it was this one. Let's lead into it a little bit. Like I said, we'll get into Pundit's video on Tracy Hickman and perhaps Ed Greenwood, and I think Luke Gygax too. He said maybe, potentially, possibly going over to Wizards of the Coast to work on a 6th edition. Boy, they just They just released 5.5. I sense and thank you, Cal, for posting the link there. If you guys can, pull up another tab if you're on a computer, and like I said, make sure he gets a view, for this or afterwards, and of course, make sure you're subscribed, obviously. But yeah, boy, 5.5. I'm getting those 4th edition vibes, aren't you? Where people that were inclined to support him are just kind of like, well, okay, hey, let's go into it, and then you can sense from the company already that this is like the child that they don't want. This is like the twisted Spartan child that they toss off of a cliff. That's the sense I'm getting from this edition, this 5.5. The thing is, they didn't even know really what to call it. It had no identity to begin with. And that probably should have told people, something there. Of course, most of us are, kind of checked out anyway, but it's still kind of fun to follow. And we do have a vested interest in it. Look, if D&D is somehow can right itself even a little bit, that's a good thing. It's going to be tough just because there are so many no talent bums working creatively at Wizards of the Coast. It's going to be so hard to unring that bell, so to speak. But who knows? Maybe some of those people can be sidelined and then they'll just go somewhere else. So don't ever be so close-minded that you're just I don't care at all. Care a little bit, care just a little bit, because like I said, if the industry leader, and they will always be the industry leader thanks to Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson and the building up of the name and the reputation, so they will always be the leader, at least for the foreseeable future. So if they can kind of right the ship a little bit, that's a good thing. But let's just say I'm a little dubious at this point. They have not, Wizards of the Coast has not earned any sort of benefit of the doubt, none whatsoever. All right, let's. I saw this too. We'll do a little warm up here. ICE officer. There's a crazy woman following a ICE officer. Olivia Jensen, I think, is her name.
This isn't where I live. That's fine. But this isn't where I live.
Your parents still pay all your bills?
No.
She probably lives out of her car.
No.
Because I wouldn't be surprised.
That's probably what they were asking.
If my parents paid all my bills.
We just want to make sure you got home.
This isn't where I live.
It's okay, Olivia. We appreciate it.
You can go talk to them.
She's already on this chick follows and harasses them so much that they're already on a first name basis with them. Okay, Olivia. Thank you. It's not surprised we don't see him. Hey, Olivia, did you remember to take your meds this morning?
Well, this isn't where I live.
So if this is not where your vehicle's registered, you might want to look that up with their state.
It is, buddy. My address is correct on my ID and where my car is registered.
Okay.
Good try, though.
All right. Thanks, Olivia.
Do you feel strong or what?
We're good. Have a great day, okay?
I'll keep following you, okay?
Oh, no, she doesn't care. It's all right. No, come on. She doesn't care? She doesn't care.
So they're gonna ask, like, amongst themselves, they're talking about, like, does she know who we're going after? Does she know who we're going after?
Never do.
They'll come back and tell her, though. Here, listen up.
How's it feel to be a race trader?
We were trying to get a child molester, right?
No, you weren't.
Yes, we were.
How would you know?
Because it was a woman you talked to.
His wife.
And then his plate.
It's his wife. They're talking to this person's wife, and she immediately assumes, no, it couldn't. She wrongfully thinks, like, boy, a child molester couldn't possibly be a woman. Of course not. It doesn't even enter her little pea brain. But yeah, it also didn't enter into her thoughts that it could be this person's wife, which it was.
It came back as
also,
murder.
I was supposed to say, calling someone a race trader.
But you guys don't care.
I hope you realize.
So she called the guy on the left a race traitor. He must be Hispanic. And they found out, by the way, this child molester was also wanted for murder.
That is the most racist thing you can say as a white woman.
Of course,
and
it is.
So you know, this isn't a good look for you.
you think I care about my look.
No, oh no, trust me.
When you guys
it
are-
is evident by how you look, you don't care. We get that, trust me. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying this, trying to be a social warrior. If you actually cared, you probably would care about the child who got raped and also the person who got murdered by the person that we were looking for. But see, you don't care.
No, I don't care because you guys try.
Thank you.
That's just it. You don't care about the child that got murdered. Or you don't care about the person who got murdered. You don't care about the child who got molested. And she's like, no, I don't. It's where we're at, I guess. Craig for 5. Greenwood and Hickman are there for name recognition only. That's my guess. I would say Ed Greenwood for sure. He's getting pretty long in the tooth. He would just be a figurehead. Hickman, even though a little bit older, I think Hickman might have some ideas. Like I said, we'll get into it when we watch Pundit's video. But boy, this is just the level of insanity of liberal white women. I mean, it's almost like a star that's just in its like death throes. Like at a certain point, it has to go supernova, doesn't it? How could they possibly get crazier than this? When you are standing for literal child molesters and murderers, what else is there? There is no further pit to hell. You're on the 9th level. You're on what is it called? Nessus, I think. You are in the last level of hell. You are shaking hands with Asmodeus.
You just try to detain legal immigrants. None of you actually give a shit.
Really?
If you were here to get illegal, violent immigrants off the street, that would be fine. That's not what you're doing.
It's not. No, hold on. It's okay. She
You
said
need to
it's
back
not.
up.
It's not.
It's not what you're doing.
Just so you know, if you were to spray that, you would be arrested.
That's fine.
Okay.
Don't come close to
Well,
me.
we're gonna tell you this. Stop following us.
No, it's not illegal.
So you don't want us to come close to you, but you keep riding our tail.
I have given you plenty of distance the entire time.
Okay. Just so you know, if you do impede, I want you to hear this.
Me following you is not impeding. I'm well aware of my rights, buddy.
If you impede.
Yeah, they all think that they're like experts in like law enforcement, the judicial system. All these dumb Karens, who got a cereal box education in college, something that means nothing. Like if your kid got a degree after 2000, there's like a 50-50 chance it is not just worthless, like completely worthless.
You will be arrested.
I have not impeded.
I'm just letting you know.
What are you looking for, you fucking weirdo?
She put that OC?
Oh, you're a weirdo. You're a weirdo.
What are you looking for, you fucking weirdo?
Yeah, Night Court Mac. It's a good one. What are you looking for, you weirdo? Ugh. All right. Let's get into the main event here.
Hello, this is the RPG Pundit, the final boss in internet shitlords, and it is really early here. I could give you
All right, don't judge me too harshly, Pundit, but I'm going to scrub ahead a little bit here because this is a longer video. And all right, the Pundit files. Go to the video because the Pundit files are at they have a new home. So that's like his monthly releases.
weird fantasy to any of your games, or especially, of course, War of the Last Sun, which it's the companion piece of. So check all of these out. Check out all my other games.
If you go to his video, I'm sure there's links.
News. And I'm not gonna make you wait till the end. I'm gonna say, okay, the news about this. If this leak, if this source is credible.
Thank you, sir, and good job.
That Wizards of the Coast is already preparing to make a 6th edition of Dungeons and Dragons. And I had said that was going to be one of the possibilities. They are learning, I guess, from the mistakes that took place with 4th edition. Jesus, it's so hard to do this video when I haven't had any coffee. But they've learned from the mistakes they made with 4th edition in the past, right? And they've decided, no, we're not going to just like keep trying to throw money at 5.5 to make it a thing. It's never going to be a thing, right? And they've decided they're going to sometime very shortly produce a new edition, a 6th edition.
Yeah, it's maybe John Delarose had a video on this. Look, I get along fine with JDA. Having said that, I would always defer to like people, because John covers a lot of ground. Like for RPG specific stuff, go right to the source. Like go to someone like Pundit. And remember, my source does not work there anymore. Unfortunately, I had a pretty good source inside Wizards of the Coast, but alas, they are gone, and nobody else has reached out to me. So I am currently sourceless. But I'm telling you, everything he told me about Wizards of the Coast was true, and that's why I was able to get the jump on everybody about them abandoning Project Sigil. That came right from my source. Like that day, he's like, "Hey, this is going on. You may want to run with this," and I did. So alas. So and Pundit has some sources inside Wizards of the Coast, so that's what I would always just kind of defer to him, at least first. I'm not saying don't watch John's videos, because John makes good content too, but always make sure you go properly to the mouthpiece, as it were.
And the other part of the big news about this is that the source of this information obtained it in the context of another piece of very juicy information, which is that apparently Ed Greenwood, and it's Ed Greenwood, right? I'm so sleepy right now. The guy who created the Forgotten Realms, and Tracy Hickman were both asked to come and work on the 6th edition product. Okay, now all of this is I'm going to explain. Right, this is some kind of basic journalism going on here, right? There are sources that are verified, sources that are unverified, sources that you have to you can't verify necessarily. It has to be a question of trust. The person who gave me this is of a source that I have used before. It's somebody that I consider to be trustworthy in this, and that I believe would not make something like this up. They have a position that would allow this to be a credible thing, that they would have been able to find out these details, right? So there's nothing in the source that would lead me to disbelieve that this is the truth. That said, it's only one source, and usually when you've only got one source, you should never, say this is definitely happening, right?
Fair enough. Always got to put that disclaimer in there. Yeah, they could be mistaken. Maybe they heard the wrong information, or sometimes you never know. Maybe you have a false mole inside, who are taking you for a ride. But having said that, this kind of makes sense. I mean, this isn't like earth shattering. Trust me, Wizards of the Coast knows the perception of this game that they have right now. That just despite all the smoke that they're trying to blow up everyone's rear end, like Prof DM went through the raw numbers as he saw them, and granted it was only part of a picture, but you could kind of fill in the blanks. It's not really doing that well. They'll frame it in a way to say like, oh, it's the best selling, the best month we've ever had, for a new edition. And it's always these weird, like little, disclaimers, and conditions that they put on the stuff that they puff out. Having said that, this game has almost no cultural cachet. Like nobody's talking about it. It's basically just kind of lumped in with 5th edition, I think. There's no buzz about it. Tasmacon for 5. As long as Hickman leaves his politics out of the edition, I'll give it a shot. Okay, especially if Greenwood has full control. A big if. Well, it'd be nice if you know, they would serve themselves well and everybody well if just they kind of picked Ed's brain, you know, before, you know, it might be too late, just to kind of get like it seems like the Forgotten Realms have gone off course. I don't know a ton about the Realms. I was never a Realms player. But maybe they just need his guidance, you know, and maybe that's where he can do the best. Not like Ed Greenwood's not going to give you a modern RPG, you know, mechanic or rule that's probably going to, you know, blow your skirt up, so to speak. But he can provide, you know, he is kind of a figurehead, and he can provide some guidance, especially when it comes to his baby, which is Forgotten Realms. Yeah, so thank you, Tasmocon. Look at this guy. Snake Oil, Sean, good to see you, brother. I'm going to give you something a little different. Yeah, let's see. I got Crazy Mouse's stream deck here, so I'll try to get some ones that we don't normally see a lot. He has his favorites, and you know, sometimes I have mine. So. Love it. Thank you so much for the 5 memberships. He's only 66. My God, he looks ancient. Death Angel Shadow. I heard back in the old days when we would go to Gen Con, we would occasionally make a little pilgrimage over to a place called the Red Garter, and that is where future doctors who needed to earn money for college would shake their money makers, so to speak. And I remember when I met up with some of the folks. You know, that we used to meet up with over there. They said, "Oh man, you just missed it. Ed Greenwood was here." So just picture Ed Greenwood at a nudie bar, as they say. I was kicking myself that I did not catch that. What's up, Ryan? How you doing, brother? Hence the Forgotten Realms. Yeah. Well, I would prefer nowadays that they forget it, because, you know, I took a look at some of the most recent Forgotten Realms books that they've sent out, that they've released. Boy, just talk about underwhelming. Like I said, I'm out of my element a little bit. I was never a Realms player. I would only cannibalize it back mostly in the 2nd edition days. I would just look for source books and adventures and stuff that I could just kind of port over to Birthright. That was my interaction with the Realms. It always seemed a little, I guess I would have called it back in the days, a little twinky to me. I never, I don't know, just never really spoke to me. Having said that, I get why people like it. It is like generic fantasy 101, and you know, it has Elminster, has a good hook to draw you in with Elminster. So I do understand it. It wasn't really my cup of tea, but I've never begrudged anybody for liking the Realms. And I think, you know, as D&D goes, so goes the industry. And I also think as Forgotten Realms goes, so goes D&D. It's probably a good benchmark for the health of the brand in and of itself. Mac for 5, good to see you, sir. Forgotten Realms pre-Wizards of the Coast is amazing. That said, this will still be a woke piece of shit with a couple of famous gamers shilling and adding a few suggestions. Yeah, that's the crux of it, isn't it? Can they overcome someone like Justice, Ramen Armin? You know, these no-talent bums that they have leading the brand right now. Like Mackenzie de Armas. Like, could you imagine like Ed Greenwood and Tracy Hickman sitting in the same room with someone like Mackenzie de Armas, this autistic retard who just started playing D&D about 6 or 7 years ago. Meanwhile, this guy has lived and breathed his own creation, you know, and just probably lives there half the time. She's going to make a bunch of suggestions.
I think it would be nice if, you know, we had a place where all the autistic people in the Realms could get together and, you know, socialize.
He's probably like, what the hell's going on? What happened to this place?
This is alleged to be happening. I have one reliable source on it, but I have good reason to believe that it is credible as a source. Okay? So I do think it's happening.
Bring it home, pundit.
But again, there's
you are
some
covered.
possibility that
You are
one, when you've only got one source, you can't confirm independently. There's always a possibility that someone's pulling your leg or something, you know. But let's assume that it is real. Okay, I'm fairly confident it will be. It is something that would have been reasonable for the making a 6th edition quickly is a reasonable thing for them to do. And although at first I was like, why would they want Ed Greenwood and Tracy Hickman, right? There are a lot of reasons why that could be, right? Starting with Jason Tondro, who is probably going to be in charge of all this. It might be for nostalgia purposes, right?
That's a good point. In a way, that would be almost more dangerous because Tondro would give the veneer of like, ooh, things are different, you know. And then, but like once you looked right under the surface, we all know what kind of a guy Tondro is. He's the one who thought old D&D was problematic. If you look just below the surface, I'm sure you know in a 6th edition that he is heading. I wouldn't hold much faith in it. Craig, for $10. Ed Greenwood was at Baycon in Hamilton, Ontario one year and spent, excuse me, the whole day flirting with the organizer. She was the wife of the local hobby distributor. Ed is a lech. I have heard as much. And thank you so much, Craig. Give you a little Sid there, little Sid.
So let's looking through this, right? What is the credibility of and the idea of bringing in Ed Greenwood and Tracy Hickman? Well, the number one reason is because all of the original creators, Gygax and Arneson, are dead, right? So they can't bring them in. Although there was a rumor that Luke Gygax was being invited to be part of, in some way, the 6th edition. That is not something I heard from this source. So it's still more of a rumor, but it now would make more sense than before, right? It would make a lot more sense if we know now if we assume that the Greenwood and Hickman rumor is true, that increases the likelihood that the Luke Gygax thing is true as well.
And I'm not sure how to. I'm never sure how to feel about Luke Gygax. You know what Luke Gygax reminds me of? He reminds me of Robert the Bruce in Braveheart. You know, it's like a guy who's just always a little disappointing. You know, but I guess in the end, maybe he does the right thing. I don't know. Maybe that'll be the case. Seems like a very nice guy. As I've told before, we listened to Growing Up Gygax, which was his presentation at Gen Con a couple years ago. And, nice. His wife seemed very dear, very nice. And I think maybe his daughter was there too. So good people. But even though I didn't record it, I always felt like I was on duty there. So I very nicely just kind of, when he was asking for the Q&A and I asked Luke, I'm like, hey, what do you think about Wizards of the Coast kind of, essentially talking shit about your dad, or letting things go that, are patently untrue. And let's just say his answer didn't inspire me to be like, all right, this guy's going to be great. He was like, well, he's like, it's fall, none of that stuff's true, but I understand they're just trying to cover themselves. And it's like, oh man, come on, this is your dad. I know we got a lot of dads in the chat, and it's like you would want your kid, to really protect your reputation like a lion. And he was just sort of like, these things happen. So that in that respect, he was always very much of a disappointment. Having said that, seemed like a good guy. I mean, I don't think he's terribly, terribly woke, but he's probably infected by it a little bit. So who knows? Brian Smaller for $5, 5 New Zealand guineas. I don't know what your denominations are. I'm going to call them guineas. 6E might be the best Wizards of the Coast D&D ever, but who wants to take that risk? Exactly. Yeah, I'll stick with OSR for level class-based role playing. Yeah, there is a case to be made for like, look, there's not much ground, new ground that's going to be plowed here, because they wouldn't take that risk, because it would, to be fair, when they tried doing that with 4th edition, it failed miserably. So they are going to keep it as close to, the tropes that we all know and love, which is fine. That might be good, but it also, the other edge of that sword is, well, if I already have most of that by our OSR game or our mashed together OSR game with a bunch of house rules, why would we blow that up and just spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars? Fair point. Thank you, Brian. Much appreciated. New Zealand. We're 14 episodes away from ending our rewatch of Xena. Me, Mrs. D, and Daughter D. The 6th season of Xena is crazy. It's a little nutty. Stormwolf 47. Oh my lord, for $10.
There's a way.
Where there's a whip, there is indeed a way. They need to tackle the issue of magic in D&D. There's nearly 600 spells currently, not counting the magical supernatural class abilities. There's too much magic. Make chainmail bikinis great again. I'm with you there, brother. I like. So here's what we're dealing with now. We're doing Shadow Dark right now. That is like bare bones. So there is almost, in my opinion, almost too few spells there, especially because like some of the old abilities are now classified as spells. So it's almost there's almost too few in something like Shadow Dark. But yeah, the spells can get away from you in some editions of D&D. When they get out of the cage, that list can grow. I would like something in the middle, a nice manageable amount. So I think like Greg's game, like Dragonslayer, good OSR adaptation. Pretty good number of spells in that. Hits all the ones that you're familiar with, just, of course, some of the copyrighted names are, changed, but, you can figure out what they are. So I would almost like something like in the middle, Shadow Dark, a little too few, even though it's a good game, good solid game. We're liking it a lot. We just had probably, I think, the penultimate episode of the little mini campaign that I'm running. And I thought at one point these guys were going to die. I brought my old Widowmaker blue magenta box dice. It's this blue dice. It's more like a marble now because the edges have been like sanded off from all the rolling. So I killed one NPC that was traveling with them, and I thought maybe another one was going to die. A couple of them went down, but they were able to get up. And Adino, yes, this is what else I was going to bring up too, as Pundit was talking about. It's criminal the way they just kind of forget about Rob Kuntz, who's out there, still has a pretty active mind, is still producing stuff, and is he's like, man, I mean, right now he'd be like Scotty from the Enterprise, Kirk and Spock are dead, but it's like Scotty's still around. Wouldn't you want to talk to Scotty? They just keep ignoring Rob Kuntz because Rob's, nobody is Rob's master. He thinks what he likes. He doesn't like the direction of Wizards of the Coast. That's why I love Rob. I will always support Rob. And the way they do Rob dirty is criminal. It really does. Of all the things they do, that's one of the things that actually gets me like angry, because they will go out of their way to ignore him because they don't like his politics. They don't like what he says about them. Tasmocon for $5. Yeah, Ed is a real ladies' man. the way he talks about the Forgotten Realms lore, you can tell he has all the markers of a player. Yeah, I mean, it's apparently there are conventions are are replete with stories of of Ed being a let's just see, a ladies' man. I got no problem with that either, man. You only go around this this marble once. Why not take advantage of it? And look, he's got some celebrity. You can't blame a brother for trying, right? I did not know he was only like 66. Like I say, he's not that much older than me. I mean, he's definitely older than me, but I mean, he's not quite that much. He looks ancient. Maybe he's like Merlin. Maybe he's aging backwards or something. I don't know. Crawford at a Crimson Craw for 5. D&D is all about vibes now. Yes, not substantive gameplay with consequences. Bringing Greenwood, Hickman, and Gygax on now is just more of that. Yeah, definitely trading in on their names, and we'll get back to it. I just want to clean up some of these super chats. You guys are being very, very generous this afternoon. Thank you so much. Over 100 of you on YouTube and a few more on Rumble. Thank you guys for turning out on a Saturday afternoon. And Crawford again of the Crimson Craw. Oh, boy. You know what? You've got something coming your way, Crawford. You've got ogres. You've definitely got ogres. The only way to save D&D is to embrace the dark fantasy and pulp genres that inspired the game's roots and what is currently dominating video games in the OSR. Exactly. If you recall, like I did a live stream, and thank you so much, Crawford. I did a live stream, maybe a month or two ago. And what would I do if I was running D&D? And I kind of used the test cases of someone like a mainstream person, probably like an RPG pundit, like a Greg Gillespie, somebody like that, who could handle like the main ship, of the brand, D&D, all the stuff, all the classic fantasy you'd want. And then I would do a side brand and make it, I hesitate to use the word adult because that has so many connotations nowadays, but mature, like a mature brand. And, maybe someone like a Jeff Talanian to kind of have like, okay, this sub brand is going to be based off the same rules, but we're going to do a few additional rules. We're going to take a few things out. Maybe we're going to add this. And it's going to have the chainmail bikini vibe. It's going to have the pulp fantasy vibe. It's going to be unapologetically Conan, for lack of a better word. They are missing out on so much money. Yes, a lot of fat, ugly women would scream and cry about it. But if you just said nothing and just said, "Hey, this is mature. Go back to our normal brand," and you can still play your elf or, tiefling or whatever. I don't know. Do we even want tieflings anymore? I guess you got to give them one furry race to play. So maybe you'd be forced to keep tieflings in, but it would be my wish that they not be included. But yes, oof. But yeah, I do agree. Embrace the dark fantasy, at least in some way. And again, Crawford, I'm going to give you another one just because you are... All right, nothing to see here. Please disperse. Please disperse. Dark fantasies, themes, and tropes are diametrically opposed to the corpo slop that epitomizes, Hasbro and commies of the coast. Yep. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Crawford. They would never do this. That was just if I was in charge. I'd be surprised if, like, all these new people that they've hired that I kind of detailed in the last couple live streams, I would be shocked if any of them read any Fritz Lieber or Robert E. Howard or any of those guys, and just any of the real basic, classics of the genre. They're not going to read that. They're going to read some derivative garbage. At most, I doubt they'd even. I mean, maybe they'd read like a Dragonlance. That might be as far as they go, though. But they won't go to the foundations of the whole thing.
Right. And the fact that you've got these 3 different guys, that makes it a lot more. How do I put it? A lot more kind of smarmy, I think, because if you had asked Ed Greenwood to do something for the Forgotten Realms, well, yeah, obviously, right? Same thing with Hickman and Dragonlance. And Hickman, besides that, is also like a game designer, right? Ed Greenwood is really not a game designer. You got to remember that the Forgotten Realms is something he invented in the 1960s, and he did it in the form of a storytelling, right? It was short stories that he was writing about these Forgotten Realms. None of it had anything to do with wargaming or RPGs. That only came way later when some people showed it to him and whatever. But Ed Greenwood's not a game designer. He's probably the best thing you can say about him is that he's a world builder and a storyteller.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah, which we touched on earlier. Yeah, Ed's just look. The things that probably make you good at that world building probably don't make you so good. Of a mechanical, having a mechanical mind. Where you can think of. Rules and and these game mechanics, but he's able to think of kind of maybe big picture world stuff, and that's great. It seemed to work fine for a couple editions of D&D. Only now it's like a parody. Yeah, and even if the current team really tried to make the kind of D&D that regular gamers want, it would be not even a parody pundit. I would call it a mockery, probably. Who knows? Maybe Hickman would give it a little, a tiny veneer of credibility, between him and Tondro. Because I'm sure Tondro can probably design, mechanics. But he also couldn't help himself by thinking he had to put in some sort of, I hate to say it, some sort of social bullshit in there, which we all know would happen. So yeah, good point. Antonio for 5. I heard someone say, Conan, my VTT version is nearly done, and I can bump you on X updates daily there. Yeah, go ahead. Like I said, I still do check X. Not quite as active as I used to be, but yeah, if you can get a hold of me there, just tag me on there, and I will be happy to. Thank you so much, sir.
Right. So when you're looking at what would be the practical reasons to have these guys there, right? Greenwood and Hickman. You can say, well, okay, maybe if you were going to go super heavy on the realms, but I mean, they're specifically supposedly being asked to work on 6th edition, as in the core books of 6th edition. So this is not about Greenwood doing a realms book. This is about Greenwood working on the PHB, and I'm not sure what he would actually have to really contribute on that respect.
I agree. Like I said, we kind of touched on that earlier. He's not the kind of guy that would, unless they try to, I've never understood why the Forgotten Realms isn't just the default setting. They've always done this weird dance where it's like, well, the default setting in the player's handbook is Greyhawk, or this. It's like you already have the biggest by far brand of world already underneath your umbrella in the Forgotten Realms. Why not just embrace it and use it and just be like, all right, guys, if you OSR players want to use Greyhawk, that's fine, but we're going to roll with Forgotten Realms. I don't even like Forgotten Realms particularly, and I could see the wisdom of that. So unless they wanted him to kind of infuse the player's handbook with just some Forgotten Realms stuff, I can't think of anything else, because as Pundit says here, and as I think we all sort of know, Ed Greenwood isn't really a game designer per se. He's never really done anything like that. He's just kind of written a lot of good world stuff.
So unless he's only asked to do a little blurb in the setting section of the DMG because they're going to use the realms, that might make some sense. There is also a real possibility, what I'm getting to here, is that there's also a very real possibility that all three of them...
Oops. Yeah, I'm... Ryan asked, where the hell are you active nowadays? I am. I still will respond to your messages on X. Like I said, you have to understand, it left a really bad taste in my mouth, getting charged for a premium membership after they banned my account. I really had to bite my lip for it, but I will still respond to everything on X. So that's probably the easiest way to do it. Check out my assistant Harvey at Double D ASST, and you can get a hold of me there. Thank you, Ryan.
These guys, if you include Luke Gygax, are there exclusively to sell their name, right? The only thing that Wizards wants from them is those names, right? They want to be able to put on the credit section of the book, or maybe even in the cover, who knows, right? They want to put Ed Greenwood, Tracy Hickman, Luke Gygax, right? Or maybe even just L Gygax, so just to show the Gygax, damn it, right? That's what they want. They want to do that because then they know nerds are going to see those names and they're going to go, I know those names, so I can trust this, right? Even though they absolutely cannot trust this, right? I would not trust this team. I mean, the funny thing is, right, Ed Greenwood and Tracy Hickman, neither of them have enormous skills in the game design part of thing, right? Both of them are mainly known for the worlds they made. They're mainly known for the settings they made, right? And for the stories they told. And Ed Greenwood has practically no real experience as a game designer, as a rules designer, or things like that, right? So he would serve no useful purpose in that sense. And then Tracy Hickman, he does have some element to that. He has worked in, he worked with TSR. He did stuff that was, he wrote mostly adventures and things, right? But at least in those, there was also the context of the rules, and I believe that he did that himself. I'm pretty sure he is sufficiently knowledgeable of like the game mechanics to at least make an adventure, right? But he's not known as like some master. He's not, like Gygax or Monty Cook or the RPG pundit, right? A guy who like knows people who know how to make a game, right?
Sorry.
Even so, he would immediately be probably the most experienced and probably, the most experienced and the most suitable game designer in the entire team if he was part of that team, because I know what the rest of the team is, right? You've got like, they just hired another chick. Jeez, I wish I remembered to check her name before starting this video. This woman
we know.
Who is basically connected to like young adult science fiction stuff. Like basically, the entire industry of publishing has been taken over by feminist women, millennial women who worked on young adult novels, because they took over the mainstream publishing, and then in turn went on to only put their people in everywhere, right? And now it's being expanded to other areas. That's what's basically happened with 5th edition.
It's a lot of truth there. Right on. Like modern publishing. It's all just versions of like YA. It's a bunch of YA novels, gussied up to, have the veneer of, respectability and literature on them, but they're just YA novels, and they brought that now over to that same sensibility over to role-playing games. That's why so many people just have a visceral hatred of everything that's pumped out by Paizo, Wizards of the Coast, Kobold Press, because it all reads like it was written by a cynical, like 25-year-old girl who hates her father, hates men, hates the world. Even if it wasn't, that's kind of the vibe that it all has. Mac for 5. I agree with Pundit. Those two are writers, not designers. Yep, exactly. But Wizards of the Coast is in desperate need of real writers too. So we're back to name recognition. Yeah. Think about it. Like, I mean, most of the good the last sort of innovative mainstream mechanic, and I know people did it before, but Wizards of the Coast should get some credit for, bringing it back. And, I don't know if it was Merles or, who knows, maybe it was even Pundit. The advantage, disadvantage, like it or hate it, it's an interesting mechanic. I go through periods of liking it and then not liking it so much. But it's interesting. But I mean, aside from that, what are we talking about? Ascending versus descending armor class? Whoa, that's a that's a new one. Do we roll? Do we use skills or do we use characteristics? Do you roll a die 20 under your characteristic, or do we do the target number approach? It's really kind of, the whole game sort of breaks down to just these handful of fundamental mechanics and how you tackle them. Nobody is really interested in stretching the creativity too much, just too much risk associated with it. And like I said, I do kind of understand that aspect, at least. They don't want to get burned again. But yeah, pretty much name recognition. That's why they're there. But I also wouldn't be looking for like Jason Tondro to come up with like the next great RPG mechanic. That's not going to happen.
Is that it was taken over by YA publishing people, right? That are the same, the feminist, intersectional, trans bloggers, right, and vegans and all that stuff. They're a cabal. They're a sect, and now they've expanded into here, right? And those people know nothing about anything, right? And they ruin everything they touch.
Everybody on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Hi, Bob.
You can see Star Trek is the same thing. Like the Star Trek Starfleet Academy that came out, it shows you, right? That is what's going on with that, right? And so these people that are...
they almost didn't use advantage, disadvantage. Well, I bet you they're glad they did. Like I said, that was one of the few things in 5th edition that you could kind of point to and be like, okay, I get that. That ain't bad.
Are there now? It's not that they're doing this because they have tremendous respect for Gygax or Greenwood or Hickman, right? Now, keep in mind that Ed Greenwood is an old-time degenerate, right? Like he's a guy. He was a guy that.
I'll be fair here, Pundit. Too. I wouldn't shit you. I didn't know you. I only watched like a couple of. Couple minutes into the main course, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go with this, and then give a nice good raw reaction. I didn't know you were gonna go here too, so it's I think the consensus is in about Ed and his love of the ladies, so that's actually
like
funny.
Did swinger parties since the 1960s, right? And his real Forgotten Realms, the ones they didn't dare to publish unedited when he gave it to TSR, is like just filled with sex and degeneracy, right? And
wow.
He is very much a pro everything that has to do with like the sexual revolution, right? So apart from the kind of the fact that he comes off a little bit like a potential Me Too guy, right? Aside from that, Ed Greenwood is ideologically on their side, right? And so is apparently Tracy Hickman. From what I've seen of his X account, for example, it looks like he is, in spite of being apparently a devout Mormon, right? In spite of that, and there used to be a time when if someone was a Mormon, you knew what they counted for, right? Like they would count for a whole bunch of weird shit, right? Don't get me wrong, right? But from the religious side, but in the social side, you knew that they stood for traditional values, right?
yeah, not so much anymore. I think that's a no-brainer these days. Yeah, so some of these more quote unquote Mormons. Woof. Shawnee for 5. Advantage disadvantage is far less divisive than death saves. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think players like death saves. Let's just say that. I think the players like death saves. I think death saves could work a little better if there also weren't like a ton of other ways to rescue a downed player. We, as a DM, we've all been there. Somebody falls, and then the cleric comes up like, okay, I'm going to kneel down and heal this person. And you have to explain to them, you understand that there is somebody 2 feet away with a sword over their head who just cleaved this person and probably killed them, and he is still there. So you're just going to go over and go, excuse me, one moment. I'm just going to administer first aid here. Like you should, I think there should be a mechanic if you were trying to do that. There should be an immediate, like, no roll critical hit for max damage on anybody trying to do that, because you are literally just sitting there, laying your hands on somebody. So the death save mechanic in and of itself, I don't have a problem with as a modern mechanic. It all depends on, how you roll, I guess, how much of the new stuff you let in. But it's just the whole, like, okay, let's do death saves, but let's also allow a stabilize roll. Let's allow people to heal somebody right in the middle of combat. To me, it's almost like one or the other. You shouldn't, if you're going to allow somebody to stabilize, then you should have one round to get there and stabilize them, and that's it. And if you can't get there in a round, then I guess they're dead. Or don't allow the stabilize and just say, hey, we understand you're doing what you can, but it's in the gods' hands now. That's why you're making this death save. So you get, however you want to structure your death save. So I try to be a little, let's just say egalitarian on that, because I do understand players, when they drop to 0, there's that, oh, you're dead. And I know from like an old school perspective, people are like, hey, that's the way it should be. I get that too. Stormwolf for, oh my lord, $20. You know what?
You called down the thunder, well now you got it.
And
pay that man his money.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. At this point, they're just better systems. Castles and Crusades, yep. Dragonslayer, yep. Shadow Dark, yep. Nimble. I don't know what Nimble is. Should I? Or the upcoming Rutigers by Richard Witters. I think I have heard of that one. All of them, when it comes down to it, are just homebrew rules. Just play what you like. Yeah, definite case for that. Like I said earlier, especially if in this crowd, who's gonna, other than maybe out of curiosity, just buy maybe the player's handbook? I don't know. If you already have a group, why upset the apple cart if you have a set of rules that aren't much different? That at worst are just going to be a kissing cousin of whatever they put out. Do you really want to pay for the same set of rules over and over and over again? At a certain point, no. Thank you so much, Stormwolf. Very generous of you. Let's see. Mum Chums. All right. Let's install a little bit of Mum Chums into D&D.
And now, increasingly, that is not the case. I'm concerned to say that I think that the Mormon Church is being rapidly infected with the woke mind virus, right? Later than everybody else, right? Because everybody else that's already happened, and now we've developed antibodies, and now instead the Mormons are the ones that are like veering off in the wrong direction. But Tracy Hickman is, I think, probably one of those, right? He certainly has a lot of posts on his X that make it pretty clear that he is not a Trump fan. He is obsessed with the Ukraine and with the Russian things that are bad Russian things and all of that.
If you have a PDF, Ryan, I'd like to take a look at that. Yeah. Streamline 5e. Isn't that really what Shadow Dark is? I mean, I'm not saying this Nimble is bad, but it's like, as far as Streamline 5e, in my mind, it would almost be hard to beat Shadow Dark at this point.
He very clearly is a solid boomer Democrat, right? That kind of thing. I wouldn't have been surprised. I didn't find any proof of it, but I would not be surprised if he hadn't been to like the No Kings rallies or whatever. So
the problem you have with a lot of these, I hate to say it, a lot of these industry people, gamers in general, in some respect, is that I think they have an inflated sense of their own intelligence. I think for a long time, D&D had this aura about it, like, oh, that's the game for nerdy but smart kids. When really, I'm not sure that was ever 100% the case. Maybe a little bit smarter. I think in some regards it was for some nerdy and insufferable people, and definitely and for sure some people who were above average intelligence. But as I think intelligence is something that every year that goes by, I seem to value it less and less. I value wisdom more and more. I would rather hang with somebody who has a little bit of life experience and maybe a little less book learning. So I think what happens is like a lot of these industry people, they think they are smarter than the average bear. And even though they might be able to quote things that, maybe the average person can't, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, it doesn't mean you know what the fuck you're talking about when it comes to like policy, like for a country that's going to work. It just means you've sort of been, to some extent, like brainwashed into thinking that, oh, this leftism, this is the philosophy for smart people. All the dumb people follow, the right wing, and it's just it's as we all know, it's just so untrue. It's ludicrous. Wayne Brock for 10. Let me see. I'm gonna go into the depths of Crazy Mouse's. Oh, I got a special one for you. Special one.
You got a 33 and a third chance of winning. But I got a 66 and 2/3 chance of winning because Kurt Angle knows he can't beat me and he's not even going to try.
Not even going to try. Wayne for 10. Perhaps going woke is the best thing WotC did for the hobby. Stimulated a lot of growth in the opposite direction. It did in some respects. So much new material out there. Although some of that was going on even with just 3rd edition before they truly went woke and just kind of went more into the players' camp than they probably should have. In other words, they kind of tipped the balance to the players in 3rd edition quite a bit. And there was already a counter reaction to that. And that's essentially, that was the genesis of the OSR from back in the day, back in the late aughts, as they say. But thank you, yes, very much. I do agree, though. The silver lining in the cloud is, all these people that wouldn't like otherwise, have done this stuff or wouldn't be nearly as successful as someone like an RPG pundit, or like a Kelsey Dion, or like a Greg Gillespie. All these like great, brilliant people are now able to sell their stuff, and because of the way the world is nowadays, because of this kind of fragmentation we have, for better or worse, they're able to get it in the hands of an audience that's right in front of them. They're able to find their audience, make their audience in some regards on like social media, and then what, that audience says, hey, you know what, we like you, let's see what you got. You got the chops to make something. And sure enough, a lot of these folks do.
So in that sense, they're both ideological fellow travelers, and so is Luke Gygax. We know that, right? We want to. There are a lot of people in the OSR that know that Luke is friendly with because he does the OSR thing because it works for him too. But he fundamentally is not on that side, right? He is on the side of allowing these ideological terrorists to come in and do whatever they want with the game. And he does that because it has to be because he believes in it, right? Because it's not even, he's not behaving as if he was a coward about it. He's making direct statements on it, right? And therefore that means that he tolerates the rest of the OSR only because they help maintain the prestige for him and of his his convention work and stuff like that, right? Because they're attendees, right? He's smart enough not to say, "Oh, you're all racists, get out of here," right? Well, you won't do that. But
agreed, Saint Severian. My experience too.
But we know he's left, right? There's no question about that, right? So all these guys are ideologically on the side of the.
Hold on, guys. We got a special message here. What the hell? What is this? I usually don't get these over, like, I'll get these a lot on Rumble. Oh my Lord. I can't even fit this thing on here. What the hell? Hello, streamer. I can see you are working toward the verification so that you can start earning the 16 to 30 per hours, which I can help you get there very fast. Promote your channel to get 1,500 followers. Well, I've already got 1,500, 25 subs, 250 chatters, 100 average views, and get partner within a month. Well, hell, I'm sold. Discord at Anton James Pro. There we go. All right. What the hell? What is going on here? Oh, that's why. That's over on Kick. That's over on Kick. That's why. Okay, fair enough.
People currently in control of Wizards of the Coast.
I didn't even think we had anybody watching over on Kick.
Which could explain why they would have felt like, yeah, these are the right guys to bring in. But because all three of them at the same time...
Yeah, totally legit. I'm going to go ahead and click that link.
Still generate, with Luke at least in the point of view of name
get internet aids.
Recognition, right, of the last name. They'll still generate the member berries feelings in old school gamers and older gamers and all the people who have abandoned D&D, official D&D for things like the OS.
Ha! What you don't know, Ryan, is I don't have a Kick audience. There's nobody watching over there, so joke's on them.
Right, so they're hoping that that's going to work. And I think...
I just needed a third. I just needed a third leg to stand on, so I just threw a Kick. We'll see out there. I guess I saw Kino Casino, was able to maintain an audience over there. So I thought there was at least some people over there, who, maybe if we could shave off a couple of those people, but it doesn't look like it's going to
most likely, all three of them will be purely there for the name, just to have the name on there. So that then they can say, look,
Hi,
it was,
Joe.
We had additional material, additional advice presented by, Tracy Hickman. And, Dragonlance, remember Dragonlance, how cool Dragonlance was, right? We made Dragonlance in 5th edition and completely ruined it. Remember that? No, don't remember that. Don't remember that. Look, Tracy.
That didn't happen. They also didn't do Planescape, right? Or Spelljammer.
Hickman. It's Tracy Hickman over there. Right?
Those releases were such an insult. I mean, wokeness aside, and Hadozi aside, and all that funny as hell stuff. Those were it was such a cheap, shallow cash grab. It's because folks like me can remember back when they started a line, they supported the hell out of it. Like you got, all right, Planescape, boom, we're starting with it. Oh, here's 2 Planescape adventures, here's another source book. Here's this. They would support it for at least a couple of years. And these like one-off, like cash-ins, these memberberry products that they pumped out, such an insult. And I can't believe people bought them in good faith, especially after the first one. Like I bought Spelljammer for the channel just to kind of review, because I was early on. I was still kind of finding myself. I don't know if I would do that nowadays, or I would just find the PDF, if you know what I mean. But like it was so shallow and just not. There's no buzz about it. I'm telling you, some people have found that it works. There's nothing like a box set with books inside and a little toy, which is essentially usually just dice or something. But I think it harkens back to our childhood, our memories of like Christmas past, of just there's something when I open this box that I'm just, there's that moment. What am I going to get? What am I going to get? Even though you sort of know what you're going to get, you open it and you get that dopamine hit, and, you look at the book and, hopefully, it's a good book. Now, if it's a recent Wizards of the Coast box set, Your mileage may vary, but they didn't even do that for these little Memberberry re-releases like Planescape and Spelljammer and Dragonlance. They're just like slipcases, because everything's got to be a hardbound book nowadays for some reason. I don't understand it. These things are meant to be used, not to sit on your shelf for, oh, it looks so pretty in the background of my my channel that gets 15 views a month. It looks so nice in the bookcase behind me. That thing should be dog-eared. You should have notes inside. The cover should be bent, ragged. None of the stuff is going to be valuable really anyways. And the stuff that is, you won't think is valuable. But man, this stuff's meant to be used. Instead, they want to spit out this corpo slop garbage. These like 3 little thin books written by retards, and like a zombie version of the original, but just like evil infused with like just a tiny bit of evil too. That's what all those little re-releases are.
That's what they want to do with these guys, I think, because I doubt that they're going to they're going to give them the reins to be like, oh, well, this is how you actually make an RPG. And the problem is none of them would know how to do that anyways, right? None of them have the sufficient skills.
Use them.
To be able to make a...
Put notes in them, highlight them. People are like, oh, how could you? I got plenty of books that are highlighted. Just highlight, I'll write a note in the margin. Look, if I purposely buy like I bought Oriental Adventures at Gen Con a year and a half ago, like I'm probably not going to highlight that, only because I know they're not going to make that. But like anything released now that you could just buy a print version of, or get made, like Greg's book, like his Dragonslayer book. I got notes in there and stuff like that.
A full-blown, right, edition
meant
of
to be
D&D
used,
out of...
You get one life. Oh my God, this thing could be worth $100. I mean, I paid $60 for it. It could be worth up to $100 in the future. You need $40 that much? Think about this stuff. Nobody's gonna care. Just use this shit. And it's like, if it could reduce the cost, and you could package it in a way that would interest people and it had good content, I wouldn't mind a soft cover of some of these books. Not at all. My Planescape original box set and the Chaos box set, they work just fine with their soft covers.
Nothing, right?
They work just fine.
They could because they're actually gamers, right? Somebody like Luke Gygax and Tracy Hickman could hack together a bunch of bits and bobs and make something that would be like a fantasy heartbreaker D&D, right? They could probably put something together. They'd probably do 100 times better than all the actual people employed by Wizards of the Coast to make D&D, right? Including Tondro.
It's something liberating
they
about
would be much better than these people.
Once you do it, you're like, fuck, yeah. And then you know what you end up learning and retaining that knowledge more, because that's how humans, will retain knowledge. Oh, I interact with it. I put a little star here, or I underline this passage, or I highlighted it. Gather around, kids. Some of you can sit on my knee. That's how you used to retain knowledge back in the day, by doing stuff like that. Now, of course, we don't have to retain anything because Google does it for us.
Justice Arming, right? All these losers, right? All these people that are just unbelievably useless people, and these, ideological terrorists. So, unfortunately, though, they're not going to be. That isn't what they're going to be asked to do, right? Yep. Now, could it be possibly that they're going to get Hickman to do something with Dragonlance and Greenwood to do something with the Forgotten Realms? Well, maybe, but that's not what I've been told about, right? That's not what is on the table right now. What's on the table right now, according to my source, is 6th edition D&D. And they are going to have their names on it for whatever reason. We don't know why. but we know why. We don't know what they're going to be doing, And my suspicion is almost nothing. Right? My suspicion is they're just being paid a big fat check to put their name on the book. Yeah, I think that's going to be the sum total of it.
Probably a good place to end there. I think we kind of got the gist of that. So thank you, Pundit. Thank your source for us. Let's go back, finish up here. Yeah, so what does it mean? Well, pretend you're from, Missouri, the show me state. It doesn't mean anything until they show you it means something. And if I had to guess, it's not going to mean anything. Just as Pundit says, working on a set of rules is like a grind. Okay. Again, this is something Pundit can probably tell you. It involves a lot of meeting, a lot of grinding, and stuff like that. Do you think Tracy Hickman is going to sit in what is essentially like a writer's room and grind out a bunch of stuff? He's going to be like, they're going to send him stuff and be like, hey, give us some ideas on, maybe these things here. And he's going to work on it at his leisure. Hey, I came up with these mechanics here. But even like a virtual writer's room, you think he wants to be bothered, like meeting with Justice Rahman Arman and James Hack, who's sitting there in lipstick and a dress. And I know Tracy Hickman is woke, but inside he probably has some sort of a visceral revulsion to it, like every other human being that he has to get over. And he's probably being like, what did I get myself into? He's not gonna. Basically, they're gonna plumb him for some ideas. Give us some ideas here. Can we somehow work a little bit of Dragonlance into it, or Ravenloft? With Greenwood, the Forgotten Realms. Maybe they're just gonna go with the shotgun approach. Just whatever, fire it, and see what they hit. Who knows? But at the end of the day, you still need people that do the unglamorous job of spitting out a rule book, which is its own art form. You have to write a rule book. You have to make it accessible, but it also has to teach what you want the game to be in a straightforward fashion that normies can learn. And that's not an easy thing to do. I mean, that's why, well-written rule books, they're not as, plentiful as you might think. Ryan for 2, maybe in a private room at the Red Garter. Yeah. Well, I think Ed would be there first thing in the morning. Hey guys, I brought coffee and donuts. Cinnamon and butterfly. They're going to be in here with drinks and a little bit more in just a little bit. We're going to need a 2-hour lunch, if you know what I mean. And we're going to work well into the evening. Yeah, the Bada Bing Club. Yep. You think Ed would be okay with the guy with James Hack? Yeah, it's a shame. World's going to shit, but hey, can you do? There's plenty of people out there who, even if they are for it, they won't let you know, or people who aren't for it, like Pundit, like a Greg Gillespie, like a Jeff Talanian. All these guys have their own rules and rule sets out there, and they're diverse enough that you could support them. And the good thing is, guys, we're all smart enough to adapt mechanics. We all know how to do that. So we can take a first edition D&D product, and even like a Castles and Crusades product and make it work. You all know how descending and ascending armor class, what that code is. The number 19. If you subtract, is it 19 or 20? It might depend on which version you're playing, but if you just subtract the armor class, the descending armor class from 19, you'll get the new ascending armor class. That's all. It's just all easy peasy stuff. I've run a very cool campaign. I just used the Dragonbane adventures out of the box. I'm like, you know what? This looks really cool. So I'm going to run the Dragonbane adventures using the Shadow Dark rules. You know what? It's worked just fine. Just fine. You know, because if you're a good DM, you know, you're taking the ball and running with it anyway. You're not being like, oh, I need to get this exact, you know, creature here to do this exact thing. If you're worth your salt as a DM, you will adapt. You'll adapt. You overcome. You improvise. Salamani 42 for almost 8 Australian. $50 says 6E will be a trash fire. My money would be on yeah, but who knows? Keep your mind open a little bit, just a tiny bit. Don't ever be so close-minded that you don't allow for it. In the same respect, just knowing who's there. Look, if somebody like Mike Merles was there, I would be like, you know, it's probably still not going to be great, but maybe it has a small chance because maybe he understands that we can't fill it with the stuff we've been filling it with. You know, but with somebody like him gone, everybody there they're all pod people. They've all bought into the same nonsense. And from a mechanics point of view, I haven't found any sort of talent there that's going to, despite all the cultural stuff, that's going to affect a like a breakthrough mechanic, so to speak. I don't know. Ultra for $2. Good to see you, sir. Don't forget that Nerdcognito is giving us all VD on their speakeasy today. Lots and lots of prizes to be raffled off in one. Yeah, that's why I am actually going to be jumping off here. I didn't want to stream over those guys. So, yeah, if you want to go over, check out the Nerdcognito guys. Sounds like they are doing a raffle today. So, but did want to, had some time open in the afternoon. And like I said, saw Pundit's video, and I thought it was worth a little mini EFAP. And like I said, any chance to connect with you guys is well worth it. So, okay, I'm going to, like I said, get going here. Make sure I didn't miss anything here. Don't want to leave any super chats hanging. Looks like I got them all. Thank you guys so much. You're very generous with all your memberships. Your super chats helps bring me back in front of this camera here. So if you're enjoying what I'm doing, then I'm enjoying doing it. Let's keep at it. All right, you guys have a great weekend. My pleasure, sir. My pleasure. Have a great weekend, guys. Be safe out there. And enjoy the rest of it. And we will probably talk, I would bet, on Wednesday. Unless I sneak in a video, we'll probably talk on Wednesday. So you guys take care. Like I said, check out all the great RPG content. Remember to, even if you watch the Speakeasy, go over to Pundit's channel. Make sure you give that video a watch, you know, because he's the one that rightfully broke it. And of course, check out the... his products, the Pundit files. Those are easily adaptable to any OSR. So worthwhile stuff for sure. All right, you guys take care. Have a great, great rest of your day and your weekend. Peace, guys. Love you.